Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is basically the end of October of 2022, and we are just days away from Tales of the Jedi, which by the way, all 6 episodes will drop simultaneously on Disney Plus on the night of. That's really going to give fans an in-depth look into Light Side Dooku, young Ahsoka, young Qui-Gon Jinn, and a whole lot more. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between George, John, and Dave is that they are all cherry-picking from Star Wars Legends and really trying to stick as close as possible, as accurate as they can, to the legend stories that were told from the 1990s all the way up until the end of 2013 with Crucible, which by the way is a great book. Go ahead and check it out. Now, one thing about Jon Favreau himself and what he is doing is that, as you all know, he got a big promotion all thanks to the Disney executives offering him pretty much having a lot of power over the creativity aspects of Star Wars as well as the financial ends to some degree. 65% of shows, Favreau can call the shots on the budgets, on capping certain budgets on shows and other projects as well, and exactly how it's going to transfer into all of that. Now, with that being said, what's even all the more exciting has a lot to do with what he's actually planning for the continuation of the Skywalkers and the Skywalker saga. Now, as we have discussed before in the past, yes, Disney is pre-planning a continuation of the saga in the forms of movies. We're not going to see them for a very long time, but we'll get into that in just a second. But they are pre-planning it as we speak. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to make some big announcements next year for the franchise, creators Jon and Dave are beginning to make some drastic adjustments with the franchise as of late. Now, it's noted that since Favreau got a big promotion at Lucasfilm, he has control over many aspects of Star Wars right now, including the plans for future films and books, etc. Now, it's noted that Disney has been planning out a episode 10, 11, and 12 to extend the Skywalker saga once more on the big screen as a final last chance to try and do things right this time. And though they don't plan production until 2026, they are already in the early development stage. Favreau is described to be creating the new Skywalkers by design, not just for the movies, but also for the upcoming comics and books, and how they will also be described in the upcoming novels. One of which that Favreau is working on is Cade Skywalker, who is going to be modeled and inspired by actor Garrett Hedlund, since they already have tentative plans to cast him in the future for the actual movies. Let me pause here quick before I get to the next segment. Now, what's really exciting about this is the fact that Favreau is going to be the one designing the new Skywalkers and how they are going to be introduced into the canon. Now, we already talked about 10, 11, and 12 and how first they will come in the forms of books with some side comics actually labeled 10, 11, and 12. And then a couple of years later down the line, they are planning to put them into the form of movies that will go into production by 26. Now, the novels and the books are set to release at some point in time in 2024, so we got a little bit of a ways until we actually get this placed in canon, first off. But what's really exciting about all of this and this whole process is how Favreau is the one designing and illustrating how the new Skywalkers are going to look. And I say Skywalkers, alright? There's more than just one other than Cade. And we'll get into that in just a second. And we talked about this before in the past as well, by the way. Now, with that being all pretty much out there by Favreau and Filoni, given that he has a lot of control over the storyboards, the illustrations, all the concepts that are going into these upcoming projects, Disney actually now realizes that these one-off movies that they've been trying to put out there and trying to make happen are just not working. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. Pretty much fan interest was very, very low at the time. A lot of fans wanted something more true to the mythology of Star Wars. And now Taika Waititi's movie is falling apart. There's a lot of discussions of him getting shown the door very soon. And Taika Waititi, that's exactly why he's been very quiet about his role in Star Wars and making an actual movie after Thor: Love and Thunder did not get good criticism. Let's just end it at that point, right? So that's why they're now focusing on making quality one-off films, but on the side making new Star Wars trilogies again as well. Something that Kathleen Kennedy did not want to happen again. Now, with that being said, alright, continuing on, Favreau already made it final in his eyes on who the new Skywalker is going to be. A 40-something-year-old bounty hunter, Jedi, smuggler, and more, this is Cade by the way, combined into one character. Favreau is trying to keep the character as close and accurate as possible to the comics. Now additionally, and this is where things pick up, is that this new era is set to also feature the grandson of Luke, who will be the younger Skywalker and cousin of Cade. The idea that Favreau is making canon is that Cade comes from both Ben and Rey somehow, meanwhile the grandson of Luke comes from Luke Skywalker's son, who will be introduced in the near future in the Mandoverse in a couple of years, that John and Dave are already planning to revive Star Wars Legends. Here is a great example of mixing both new and original content together while keeping the same spirit of the Legends verse alive. Now, for those of you that don't know, in Legends, there were multiple Skywalkers after Luke. We had Ben, we had Cade, we had Cole Skywalker. I mean, there were a lot of them. And a lot of which, by the way, weren't really all that explained in depth, as far as how far down the line on the family tree they were, or how connected they really were to the Force. Some of the Skywalkers we never really got to learn about in Legends, but what Favreau is doing is he's focusing on new Skywalkers that are going to remain in spirit to what was done in Legends, but mixing it together with the new. So, as you all know, visually speaking, we never learned about anything near close to Luke's grandson in Legends. That just was not a thing. We learned about descendants, yes, such as Cade and Cole, etc., but we never really got to learn more about them, specifically. So, when you look at everything related to other characters that are being established, John and Dave is making this happen. He's making this officially canon by 2024. He's making it all, pretty much come into fruition, creating the designs, etc. Basically, what they're trying to do is that they are trying to literally recreate Star Wars Legends and how parts of the Legends stories will eventually be made into movies, essentially. And that, to me, I think is a very interesting move by Disney. Now, is it going to be a tough one for them? I believe so. It's going to not be an easy job or task. But let me tell you this. I think that given that Favreau is so focused and dedicated to his work, that it's not really a job to him. It's not a struggle. Or he's not really worrying about what people have to say. He's a very optimistic, confident creator. He just knows what he's doing. And I think that a lot of fans need to put more faith in him because of what he's actually taking time to do. Now, again, about the Book of Boba that was out of his hands, I don't think we can pin it all on Favreau. It's clear as day, and we learned about this, that Rodriguez actually had a lot of creative pull and actually told Favreau what to do in some elements. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.